What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Optimize You podcast. Today, we're chatting a little bit about supersets, how you can use them to your advantage, especially those of you that are on a time crunch. If you have no equipment, even, we have some options for you as well. Let's dive into it.
All right, dude. So one thing I have been doing, I was actually thinking about this in my workout today, where I've been adding in for the last really probably 6 months. I've been doing a lot of supersets in my workouts, and I think this is something that definitely a lot of people use, but I think that there's probably like a use that's not as they probably don't use it in the right way, make a lot of mistakes. But this is also something that I know you add into your workouts a lot that can be beneficial for folks that work out at home, maybe don't have as much access to weight or a gym, that are short on time, stuff like that. I think these are some different things that can be used. So what do you think, what's your view on supersets? And what would you say first off are some of the common mistakes that people make when they do add supersets into their workout?
So, as far as common mistakes, I think people are doing a lot of the same muscle groups, I think. And that's one common thing that I see where it's like they just try to obliterate one muscle group. Like they'll move from one movement to the next and they'll do like all biceps or they'll do like all shoulders and crush. And there's a time and place for that. But I think if you're making that a main staple in your training regimen, you're going to beat yourself up. So your ability, you got to remember, I think, putting yourself in a position to, yes, tax those muscle groups, but also not so much to the point where you're not allowing your body to recover. And so I think I see that very commonly is like people will do a lot of one muscle group and they'll superset it and they'll go back. It's like for something like a finisher or something like that, that's totally different. But like if that's a main staple in your training routine and that's how you train, is you just blast muscle groups and you move from one exercise to the next with little to no rest. The downside with that is you never really capitalize and allow yourself to lift with a certain type of intensity, right? Like a high enough intensity. And you don't quite allow yourself to recover when you're always constantly blitzing those muscle groups. So for example, what I see people do is when they are leaning to that category, and that's the way they train, they're so sore that they don't train those muscle groups again for another few days. And so, and it all depends on everybody personal nuanced situation and scenario, but that's a common mistake that I see people doing. The benefits from it though, man, are huge. Like I do it in terms of my training. I have supersets all the time. I currently do them right now. My clients do them. More so specifically from a timing perspective for me. Like if I want to get in, I want to get out, I want to be efficient, I want to maximize my time in the gym. I choose to use supersets, not with, aside from like my main strength or compound movement. Like I do that one solely by itself. I'm not going to really superset that with anything. But all my accessory and building accessory work type stuff is like, I'm gonna superset those, and I'll jump from one thing to the next. I usually like to do 2 or 3, no more than like 4 at the max, different movements, and I like to cycle through those, and I'll rest at the end once I've performed each movement sequentially. Then I'll rest after that. So I'm still strategically giving myself some rest, allowing myself to maximize the movements, and then move from one thing to the next, and just be really efficient. And that's what I enjoy, man. How about you?
Yeah, no, I love that. I think, like you said, the common mistake is just killing yourself and not giving yourself any rest in between those exercises. And then it becomes more of a cardio workout than anything. Right. But also, like you said, recovery is just not going to happen. I've definitely done that before. And I think there's certain areas where you can do like a double up, right? If you want to, or if you're really trying to grow a certain muscle group, maybe that could be a good finisher for you. You're like, you know what, I'm going to finish with these 2 bicep exercises right after the other. But yeah, I think that the way I love to use them is I use them just because I'm not right now I'm just not working out for like long periods of time. I do 3 to 4 full body workouts a week. Generally they're like 30, 40 minutes long. And so what I'll do is I'll do like a leg, maybe I'll do like 2 leg exercises, right? I'll do like a squat and an RDL, and I'll superset those 2, right? Do 2 to 3 sets of that. And then I'll do back and a chest exercise, right? And I'll superset those 2. And then I'll do, shoulder. Maybe I'll do shoulder and like a rear delt, type exercise. Like I'll do like a shoulder press and like a rear delt, like a band pull aparts or something like that. And then I'll finish off with a bicep tricep superset, right? Getting like 3 to 4 supersets in there. You get an amazing workout in making sure to get some good rest in between those sets, so that I'm really getting back into it like a full tank. and giving it all I can and trying to push some good weight with those exercises. But that's what I found is works the best for me is like different exercises because I think that the best, like if you're going to hit two of the same exercises, you might as well, you probably are not short on time for the most part. And that's kind of where it's like, if you're like trying to get more in with less time, that's where those supersets I think can be really beneficial. And just like at home, I think that like where that whole doing the same type of exercise can play in is like if you're trying to get like a home like body weight extra like workout in, or you're like, what, I'm going to hit chest, and you're doing like two different kinds of push-ups, right? If you're doing like rear feet elevated push-ups and regular push-ups, like that can be a good thing to superset with, or like banded push-ups, and then you're finishing with like body weight push-ups after you fail on them or something like that. Like different things like that I think are beneficial, where maybe with your body weight you're not going to be able to get as much like of a workout in, but you're like using two different ways, and like harder way and easier way to like kind of crush that muscle group, so to speak.
Yeah, and one of my go-tos, like when you're talking about body weight, when I'm traveling and don't have access to a gym, or I just need to do something in the hotel, like quick workout, push-ups, sit-ups, and squats, right? Like just rotating through that. That's a great series that you can either do in order, like if you do 100 sit-ups, or 100 push-ups, 200 sit-ups, 300 squats, or whatever variation you want to do of those. Pick your most challenging one and probably make it the 100, or you can go 200 on all of them or 300 on all of them if you're advanced, like whatever you want, but you're trying to get them done in an efficient manner. And there's a couple different variations you could do it. You could do all your push-ups and complete those, so rest as needed, and then move directly into the next movement. Or you could do like a 5, 10, 15, right? Like you could do a 5 push-up, 10 sit-up, 15 squat, and just cycle through that until you're done with those totals, right? So that's a great way to superset some movements as well, get a good full body in a very short amount of time, get an awesome pump, feel fatigued by the end of it. I promise you that. And you're just trying to do as little rest as possible. And there's a couple different ways to do that. And you kind of just pick your poison, whatever one you want. Like I would suggest, if you want to stay moving and rest less, then do like a 5, 10, 15, something like that, where you're changing movements. That way, while the other muscle groups are resting, you're taxing a different set, and you kind of do that, and it allows you to continuously move, taking very minimal rest, if any at all, and just settle into a nice smooth pace. Versus if you're just blasting, as many push-ups as you can, trying to accumulate 100 push-ups, eventually you fatigue, and with those you'll hit a wall, and so you have to rest a long time. And then once you're done with those and you hit a total of like 100, yeah, then you can move on to the next movement. But your ability to get to those 100, and I'm just using this as a hypothetical example, your ability to complete those first 100 is going to take a lot longer, because you have to rest longer. Because once you get fatigued on there and you get that lactic acid buildup, it's very hard to continue to keep moving and pumping out repetitions. So you have to rest accordingly. So if you are going to choose that one, my suggestion would be to stop before 1 to 2 reps before failure, right? Don't push it to failure, and then you're resting there forever and you're like, I can't even do another one. So yeah, rest before failure, a couple reps. Otherwise, go with that 5, 10, 15 rep scheme, and man, you can just keep moving, get an awesome workout, super short time.
Yeah, I love that. And I've actually, that's a go-to for me if I'm like really short on time, is that
Yeah.
exact thing where you can actually, I mean, it's dependent on your level, right? Like I would do 100, 100, 100, and then
Yep.
do, get into like a 20, 20, 20, 5 sets,
Yeah.
right? Each or something like that. And you can rip through that in like, as you get better with it, maybe like 5 minutes, right? Or
Quick,
like
man.
10
Yeah.
minutes.
Quick.
And it's good. And I've actually challenged my clients at certain times, where given them that as like the back pocket type workout, where somebody would be like, oh, I didn't have time to, I didn't have time for the full workout. I'm like, well, I mean, like if you have time for, let's say if you have only 10, 15 minutes, like keep this in your back pocket. Now
Yep.
maybe you're doing 50, 50, 50. Maybe you're, it's like, what do you have time for? And maybe you could set a 15-minute timer and just, be like, I'm going to do 15 push-ups, 15 squats, 15 sit-ups, and then take a little bit of rest in between. And whenever that timer hits, you're done. Like just kind of an easy thing to keep in your back pocket. That's going to be like a superset or a tri-set type thing. That's going to give you a nice workout. You're going to feel good.
Yeah, man. Great back pocket workout at any time. Like if you're on time crunch, if you're traveling, if you're getting held up at the office for a little bit too long, and you're on a time crunch. Any way, any variation, uh, it's a great one, man. I've used it so many times. I still use it to this day, and so
Yeah.
it's just one of those things where it eliminates excuses for you, and you go, okay, I can get an awesome full body workout in an extremely short amount of time. I don't need any equipment. I don't need gym access or anything like that. I just need a space on the floor and I can just let it rip,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a great one.
It's a good reminder that you don't need anything really to get a good workout in.
Yeah.
A lot of times you can think that you got to get to the gym or you got to like block out an hour and a half or something like
Yep.
that. It's like you really
Yeah.
don't need much. So, I don't have much more to add on this topic. I think this is a nice like quick one, quick hitter. Kind of common pitfalls. Just some good ways that we introduce this into our plan, and then we gave you a nice little back pocket workout you can keep in mind if you are short on time. That we've used a lot in our lifetime. So hopefully this one helps you. If you guys enjoy this, just send it on to somebody who you think can benefit. Otherwise, we hope you have a great rest of the day, week, and we'll be talking to you soon.